I'm going to take off my Giants writer hat here and put on my NFL writer hat here for the season preview.
Okay.
I know this is a 30,000-foot question, Shane, but just to the best of your ability. Like, people always talk about how hard it's become to play defense in the NFL today, like with all the rules and, the motion offenses and whatnot. How have you seen how have you, from the first time you got into the NFL till now, have you changed what you quantify as good defense, the measurements or the idea of yards, maybe you bend but don't break is more okay than it was? How have you seen the definition of good defense change over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is they got good players too. I think they're going to make some plays, to assume we're going to get 3 and out every series or hold them to however many yards. I don't know how attainable that is. They're going to make their plays. I think the biggest thing for me as I look at it, regardless of the rules, regardless of everything else, we got to play to the rules that are there. We got to understand them. We got to know the situations where they come up for us and be able to execute and be disciplined enough to follow the rules. But really, it's about us and how we play defense. We know the different variations that we're going to see in terms of how offenses are attacking. Like you mentioned, the jet motion has become a big thing. The tight end movement at times has become a big thing. I think it's the two-back game has kind of transformed, where it kind of got cycled out, and I think it's probably making a cycle back in, where teams are having a fullback or using tight ends back there to form two-back. But really, for me, the focus is our guys and making sure we can execute and defend everything offenses are throwing at us. A lot of pre-snap communication, whatever that might be, with all the moving parts pre-snap. I think that's one thing offenses are doing more and more of, to put you in conflict before the ball's even snapped. But it's about us playing defense, executing, finding ways to play the next play when they do make a play. Being good in the red zone, being good taking the ball away. I think those are critical now, just in terms of being able to steal possessions or keep them from scoring 7 and making them attempt a field goal.
And then one quick follow-up, Shane, would be, do you think there is a path forward for defense first teams to be really good in the NFL still? The way Ray Lewis's Ravens or Derek Brooks's Bucks, can defense still win big in the NFL, or is it still offense dominated?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's a team game. Obviously, you got to be able to play complementary football when you get a stop or when you pin them back. Hopefully, we can keep them pinned back. But I think that's part of it. Each game's kind of different how it unfolds. Some games are lower scoring, some games are higher scoring, just based on how the game's going. But I absolutely think a defense can still lead to winning football in the league. But again, it takes everybody.
Thanks, Shane.
Yep.
Dan Duggan.
Hey, Shane, I think we'll probably have to take your temperature on this every time we talk to you until starters are announced. Just what's your view on the CB2 battle now, with Cordell being the guy healthy and Deontay's banged up?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can get them back here and they can get some work this week. I've been pleased with both those guys throughout camp when they've been able to be out there. I feel like both of them have made some plays. Even going back to the spring, they were both getting their hands on football. It was good to see Flott on that third down break up that pass Saturday night. So I was encouraged by him being back out there and the reps that he did get. So again, it's an ongoing thing. I do feel like the competition's making them both better. I do. I think there's been production there that we didn't necessarily see as much this time last year from both those guys. I think Flott, just the comfort level of playing out there. He played inside early on in his career. So the more reps he's gotten out there, the more comfortable he's become. And Tay's done some good things. He's challenged guys. I think he showed up at times in the run game for us, setting edges, being physical, whether it was in practice or the games. So I'm encouraged by both those guys, and hopefully they keep competing here these last few weeks, and we'll go from there.
And then Darius Musa, where does he fit? Could you see a rotation at linebacker? Does he have a role in the defense?
Yeah, I think he's another guy that has had a really good camp. He's got a knack for finding the football. So, again, got a lot of confidence in him, just like I do Bobby and Micah. So not opposed at all to him getting in there and playing some snaps for us defensively. Trust him. I think he's productive when he's in there. So really encouraged with that group and where they're at in the training camp they've had.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yep.
We'll take two more. Charlotte Carroll.
Shane, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Obviously, you don't have Dex out there for a lot of this, but what have you seen from your rush defense just through the two preseason games and joint practice especially?
Yeah, I think it was improved. I do this. I mean, they ran the ball 33 times. I think they were 4.3 per attempt. Obviously, we like our goal is normally let's try to keep it around 4 per attempt. Obviously, depending on how many runs they get, the yardage goes up. Room for improvement. There is just consistency with our technique, fundamentals. When we are pressuring, some of the movement stuff can get a little loose at times, where you create some space that hopefully you don't always want in the run game. But there's flashes. I think just the consistency with our technique, fundamentals, attacking the line of scrimmage, being disruptive when we can, all those things we got to continue to work on and build. And each week's kind of a different animal in terms of the run game. What we see week 1 against Washington is going to be totally different than what we saw on Saturday night, right? There's going to be some different schemes that we got to be good on. And again, to me, it always falls back on our ability to play with techniques and fundamentals regardless of scheme, control the line of scrimmage, play square, not create creases. The secondary support's a big part of that, knowing where to fit, the corner showing up, but all 11 guys being involved. And then hopefully we can limit them finding creases. And the one thing I've been encouraged about, like the longest run happened late in the game and it was 15 yards. And again, it should have been 5 if we execute properly. But we really, knock on wood, we've been able to minimize some of the big ones when like the 10 to 12, 15 yarder at times going to happen, but we got to make sure we keep them there and not get up to 20 pluses and some of those.
Thank you.
Yep.
Last one, Tom Rock.
Shane, when we talk about Bobby O, we always talk about his leadership, and I think that's pretty much a constant. But what have you seen from just his production and his play this summer that gives you hope that he'll be a better player than he was for you last year?
Yeah, I think just the understanding of offenses and obviously our system, how it correlates. He's in the right spot a lot of the time. He really is. He understands how teams are attacking us. He understands leverage. The length shows up, the ability to corral guys in some space with that length. I think his pass game defense has improved. I think he's been locked in there in terms of matches, whether we're in zone, whether a zone match concept. I think that's improved. And that's, as a defense, I felt like we improved that last week from the Buffalo game to this pass game. So that's something we're going to have to continue to do, making sure we're all coordinated, all on the same page in the back end. And again, back to Bobby, just the leadership, but the communication, and then being able to play with some range with his length, hopefully get his hands on some footballs for us as we progress here. That's always been a big attribute of his, and that's something we're expecting.